It was her birthday, and she woke up believing the day would be soft and happy. The morning light came through the window, gentle and warm. She told herself it would be a good day. Birthdays always made her hopeful, even when life felt heavy. This year felt different in a good way. Her sister Megan had taken charge of everything, and that alone felt special. Megan had been unusually kind all week. She sent sweet messages, checked in often, and smiled more than usual. She kept saying the party would be simple and fun. Nothing big, nothing stressful. Just family, a few friends, and a cake. The birthday girl trusted her sister. She wanted to believe that the day was planned with love. By the afternoon, the house was full of noise. Voices echoed through the rooms, and music played softly in the background. Balloons hung near the ceiling, and the smell of food filled the air. She moved from room to room, greeting people, accepting hugs, and thanking everyone for coming. She felt shy but happy. Her heart felt full. Megan stayed close to her most of the time. She laughed loudly, touched her arm often, and kept whispering little jokes. There was something playful in her eyes, something excited. The birthday girl noticed it but did not question it. She thought her sister was just enjoying the moment. When it was time for the cake, everyone gathered around the table. Candles were lit, and the room grew quiet. Faces turned toward her, waiting. She closed her eyes and made a wish she had made many times before. Peace, safety, and a little more kindness in her life. Then she opened her eyes and smiled. The song ended, and people clapped. Someone told her to cut the cake. She reached for the knife, but before she could do anything, Megan stepped closer. Her smile was wide, almost too wide. In one fast movement, Megan grabbed the cake and smashed it into her sister's face. Cream and frosting covered her skin. Cake pressed into her nose and mouth. The room exploded with laughter. People cheered, thinking it was funny. Some pulled out their phones. The birthday girl froze for a moment, shocked and confused. Then her head snapped back hard. She did not expect the force. Her neck bent in a strange way, and pain shot through her jaw and down her spine. It was sharp and sudden. Her ears rang, and her vision blurred for a second. She heard herself laugh. It was not real laughter. It came out by habit, because everyone else was laughing. She did not want to ruin the moment. She wiped frosting from her eyes and forced a smile. Inside, something felt wrong. Her neck felt stiff, like it did not want to move. Her jaw ached when she tried to speak. She tasted blood mixed with sugar. Her hands shook slightly as she cleaned her face with a napkin. Megan hugged her and laughed, saying it was just a joke. Everyone agreed. She nodded and said she was fine. That was easier than explaining the pain. She told herself it was nothing. Maybe she had moved the wrong way. Maybe it would pass. She did not want to seem weak or dramatic on her birthday. Yet, as the party continued, the pain stayed. It did not fade. Every time she turned her head, a deep ache followed. Sounds felt louder, lights felt brighter. She sat down quietly, trying to breathe through it. She watched Megan across the room, still laughing, still proud of the prank. Something heavy settled in her chest. She felt embarrassed, but also hurt. Not just in her body, but in her heart. The moment that was meant to celebrate her had turned into something else. No one noticed her silence. The party moved on. Plates were cleared, music played again, and conversations filled the space. She sat there, smiling when needed, while fear slowly grew inside her. She did not yet know how serious it was, but she knew one thing clearly. Her birthday had changed in a single moment, and the feeling in her neck and jaw was not something she could laugh away. After the party ended, the house slowly became quiet. Guests said goodbye, laughing as they left, still talking about the cake moment. The birthday girl waved and smiled, even though her face felt tight and sore. When the door finally closed, the silence felt heavy. She went to the bathroom and looked at herself in the mirror. Her hair was messy, and her skin was still sticky from frosting. As she cleaned her face, a dull pain pulsed in her jaw. When she tried to open her mouth wide, it hurt. She stopped and took a slow breath. She told herself it was just stress. Parties were tiring. Jokes sometimes went too far. She did not want to think badly of her sister. Megan had always been playful. Still, something deep inside her felt uneasy. She walked to the living room and sat on the couch. When she leaned back, pain shot through her neck. It was sudden and sharp, enough to make her gasp. She sat up straight again, her heart beating faster. Megan noticed her movement and asked if she was okay. The birthday girl nodded. She said she was just tired. Megan laughed it off and reminded her again that it was only a joke. The words felt light, but the pain did not. As time passed, the pain began to spread. Her head felt heavy, like it was filled with water. Bright lights bothered her eyes, and sounds felt too loud. She pressed her fingers against her neck, hoping it would help. It did not. She stood up to get some water, but the room tilted slightly. She grabbed the table to steady herself. Fear crept in slowly. This did not feel normal. This did not feel like something that would go away on its own. She remembered how her head had snapped back when the cake hit her face. The moment replayed in her mind again and again. The force. The surprise. The laughter. Her stomach tightened as she thought about it. She tried lying down, hoping rest would help. The pillow felt uncomfortable under her neck. No matter how she turned, she could not find a position that did not hurt. Her jaw throbbed, and a dull ache moved down her spine. She checked her phone, thinking distraction might help. But the screen made her feel sick. She closed her eyes instead. Her thoughts grew darker. What if something was wrong? What if she ignored it for too long? Megan came into the room again, still in a good mood. She talked about how funny the party had been and how everyone would remember it. The birthday girl listened quietly. She wanted to speak, to say that she was scared, but the words felt stuck. She did not want to ruin the night. She did not want to sound dramatic. She had spent much of her life putting her feelings aside to keep peace. So she stayed silent. But her body refused to stay quiet. A wave of nausea rolled through her, and she rushed to the bathroom. She did not get sick, but her hands trembled as she held the sink. Sweat formed on her forehead. She looked at her reflection again. Her face was pale, her eyes dull. She barely recognized herself. Fear finally rose to the surface, clear and strong. She went back to the living room and sat close to Megan. This time, her voice shook as she said something was wrong. The pain was getting worse. She could not ignore it anymore. Megan frowned, unsure. She said it was probably nothing, maybe a sore muscle. She suggested rest and water. The words felt small compared to the fear growing inside the birthday girl. She nodded, but deep down she knew better. Her body was asking for help. The laughter from earlier felt distant now, like it belonged to another day. As the night went on, the pain did not fade. It grew heavier, louder, harder to ignore. With each passing minute, one truth became clear. Whatever had happened during that moment with the cake was not harmless. Something was wrong, and time was no longer on her side. By the time the sky outside turned dark, the pain had become impossible to ignore. The birthday girl sat on the couch, holding her neck, breathing slowly. Every small movement sent a sharp reminder through her body. She felt tired in a way that sleep could not fix. Megan moved around the house, cleaning up, still calm. She kept saying everything would be fine in the morning. But the birthday girl's hands were cold, and her heart would not slow down. Fear had settled deep inside her chest. She reached for her phone and tried to call a friend, but her fingers felt weak. The screen blurred in front of her eyes. She hung up before the call connected. That scared her more than the pain. At that moment, Eric arrived. He had gone out earlier but came back when he heard something was wrong. The moment he saw her face, he knew. She was pale, quiet, and holding herself in a way that showed pain. Eric knelt in front of her and asked what happened. She tried to explain, but her voice sounded distant even to her own ears. She told him about the cake, the force, and how the pain kept growing. As she spoke, tears filled her eyes. She was tired of being strong. Eric did not laugh or brush it off. His face grew serious. He said they should go to the emergency room right away. Hearing those words brought both fear and relief. Megan protested at first. She said it was too late and probably nothing serious. But when she saw the way the birthday girl struggled to stand, her confidence faded. Eric helped her up slowly, careful not to let her move too much. The car ride felt long and unreal. Streetlights passed by like slow flashes of light. Every bump in the road made her wince. She held onto the seat, trying not to cry. Eric kept one hand on the wheel and one on her arm, reminding her to breathe. She stared out the window, feeling disconnected from everything around her. Her birthday felt like a memory from another life. All she could think about was staying awake and staying alive. When they reached the emergency room, bright lights greeted them. The smell of clean air and medicine filled her nose. Eric spoke to the front desk while she sat in a chair, shaking slightly. Nurses noticed her condition right away. They asked questions in calm voices. How did it happen? Where did it hurt? Did she feel dizzy or sick? She answered slowly, choosing her words carefully. She was guided onto a bed and given a neck support. The moment it was placed around her neck, she realized how much she had been forcing herself to hold her head up. Relief mixed with fear. A doctor named Dr. Carter came in. He had kind eyes but a serious expression. He listened closely as she explained again what happened. He did not interrupt or rush her. When she finished, he nodded. He gently checked her neck and jaw. Even his careful touch caused pain. He stopped immediately and told her he wanted imaging done. An X-ray, and possibly more tests. Those words made her stomach drop. Imaging sounded serious. She looked at Eric, who squeezed her hand. Megan stood near the door, quiet now, her earlier laughter completely gone. A nurse wheeled her through long hallways to the imaging room. The ceiling lights passed slowly above her. She felt small and scared, like a child again. She was positioned carefully for the X-ray. She followed instructions, even though it hurt. All she could do was lie still and hope. While waiting, her thoughts raced. She wondered if she should have spoken up sooner. She wondered how one moment of laughter could lead to this room, this fear. When the test was done, she was wheeled back to the room. Time moved strangely there. Minutes felt like hours. She watched the door, waiting for the doctor to return. Finally, Dr. Carter came back. His face was no longer calm. It was focused, tense. He looked at the screen, then at her. Her heart began to pound. She knew before he spoke that something was wrong. Very wrong. That was the moment she understood that the prank was no longer just a memory. It had followed her here, into a place where truth could no longer be ignored. The room felt too quiet as Dr. Carter stood near the screen. The birthday girl watched his face closely. His eyes were serious, and his mouth was tight. He took a slow breath before speaking, which made her heart beat faster. He told her there was a serious injury. The X-ray showed damage near her neck and upper spine. There was swelling and a fracture that should not have happened from a simple joke. His voice was calm, but the words felt heavy. She tried to ask a question, but her throat felt dry. Fear wrapped around her chest. She could see Eric's hand tighten around hers. Megan stood frozen near the wall, her face pale. Dr. Carter said he needed to act quickly. He stepped out of the room and spoke to someone in a low, urgent voice. A moment later, she heard him say the number 911. Her breath caught. She did not fully understand what was happening, but she knew that hearing 911 inside a hospital meant danger. It meant this was bigger than she imagined. Nurses rushed into the room. One adjusted the neck support. Another checked her heart rate. Voices overlapped, calm but fast. The birthday girl felt like she was floating outside her body, watching everything happen to someone else. She wanted to cry, but no tears came. Her body felt stiff and cold. She focused on Eric's face, on the way he tried to smile for her, even though fear was clear in his eyes. She asked the doctor if she was going to be okay. Dr. Carter looked at her carefully and told her they were doing everything they could. He said she was lucky she came in when she did. Waiting longer could have caused permanent damage. Those words echoed in her mind. Permanent damage. She thought about how close she came to staying home. How close she came to brushing it off as nothing. Megan finally spoke. Her voice was shaky as she apologized. She said she did not mean for any of this to happen. The birthday girl listened but did not respond. Her mind was too full to hold anger or forgiveness. She was wheeled out of the room and down another hallway. Lights moved above her again. This time, she felt smaller than ever. Machines beeped softly around her. In another room, more doctors waited. They spoke in careful terms, explaining the risks and the next steps. She caught only pieces of their words. Fracture. Swelling. Monitoring. Possible surgery. Fear settled deep in her stomach. She thought about her life. About all the ordinary days she took for granted. About how quickly everything could change. Eric stayed by her side, never letting go of her hand. Megan stood farther back, tears running down her face. The distance between the sisters felt wider than the room. A nurse told her she would need to stay still. She nodded, afraid to move at all. Her neck felt fragile, like glass. As she lay there, she listened to the sounds of the hospital. Footsteps. Voices. Machines. She felt trapped between moments, waiting for what would come next. She realized that the prank was no longer just painful or embarrassing. It had become a moment that could define her future. And as the night stretched on, one thought stayed with her. She was alive, but everything else felt uncertain. Morning light slowly entered the hospital room, but it did not bring comfort. The birthday girl lay still, staring at the ceiling. Her neck was supported by braces, and machines stood nearby, watching every breath she took. She felt tired in a deep way, like her body had aged overnight. She had not slept much. Every time she closed her eyes, the moment with the cake returned. The sudden force. The laughter. The shock. It played again and again in her mind. She wondered how something meant to be funny could turn into this quiet room filled with fear. Doctors came in one by one. They explained her condition in simple words. The injury was serious, but she had arrived in time. Surgery was not needed for now, but close care was important. Movement could make things worse. Healing would take time. She listened carefully, holding on to every word. Time felt strange. Hours passed without meaning. She nodded when needed and asked few questions. Inside, she felt empty and overwhelmed at the same time. Eric stayed close. He brought her water, adjusted her blanket, and spoke softly to her. His calm presence kept her grounded. Sometimes they sat in silence, holding hands, letting the quiet speak for them. Megan returned later that day. Her eyes were red from crying. She stood at the doorway at first, unsure if she should come closer. When she finally spoke, her voice was low and broken. She said she was sorry. Not like before. This time, there was no excuse, no joke behind the words. She said she never meant to hurt her sister. She said she would take the moment back if she could. The birthday girl looked at her sister for a long time. Anger stirred inside her, slow and heavy. She remembered how her pain had been ignored, how her fear had been brushed away. Trust felt cracked, just like her body. But she also saw the fear in Megan's eyes. She saw regret. She knew that holding anger would not heal her body or her heart. She told Megan that what happened had changed everything. She said she needed time. Forgiveness was not something she could give quickly. Megan nodded, accepting that truth. As the day passed, nurses helped her with small movements. Sitting up slightly took effort. Even breathing deeply reminded her of her injury. She learned how fragile her body really was. Alone in the room later, she thought about how often she had ignored her own pain to make others comfortable. How often she had laughed things off to avoid conflict. This time, her body had forced her to stop. She realized the injury was not just physical. Something inside her had shifted. She no longer wanted to stay silent when something hurt. Night returned, and the hospital grew quieter. Lights dimmed, and sounds softened. She closed her eyes, feeling the steady rhythm of the machine beside her. Fear was still there, but so was gratitude. She was alive. She had another chance. And in that quiet moment, she made a promise to herself. She would listen to her body. She would protect herself. And she would never again let laughter hide real pain. Weeks passed slowly after she left the hospital. Time moved in careful steps, just like she did. She wore a neck brace and followed every instruction the doctors gave her. Each day was planned around rest, small movements, and patience. Being at home felt strange. Familiar rooms looked different when she could not move freely. Simple tasks became challenges. Turning her head, lifting a cup, even sitting for too long reminded her of what had happened. Friends called and sent messages. They asked how she was feeling and told her how scared they had been. She thanked them, but she did not always know what to say. Words felt small compared to the experience she had lived through. Megan visited less often at first. When she did come, she was quiet and careful. She asked before touching anything. She watched her sister closely, as if afraid to make another mistake. The distance between them hurt, but it also felt necessary. Healing required space. Trust did not return all at once. It rebuilt slowly, like bone mending under the skin. Physical pain slowly softened, but emotional pain stayed longer. Some nights, she dreamed of the party. She woke up tense, her heart racing. Laughter had taken on a new meaning for her. Therapy appointments helped. Talking about the fear, the shock, and the silence she had carried for so long lifted some of the weight. She learned that her pain mattered, even when others did not see it. One afternoon, she sat by the window, watching sunlight fall across the floor. For the first time, she felt calm. Not happy, not sad. Just present. She realized the prank did not define her. Surviving it did. She had learned to speak up, to listen to herself, and to respect her limits. Megan apologized again weeks later, this time without tears. They talked honestly. The conversation was not easy, but it was real. They agreed that their relationship would change, but it could still exist. On her next birthday, there was no party. Just a quiet dinner and a small cake. She smiled as she blew out the candle. The moment felt safe. She understood now that life could change in seconds. Laughter could hide danger. Love required care. As she looked ahead, she felt stronger in a new way. Not because she was unbreakable, but because she knew how to protect herself. Her story did not end with pain. It ended with awareness, courage, and a deeper respect for her own voice.